Good evening. This is Crime Classics. I am Thomas Hyland with another true story of crime. Listen. That's a couple of crocodiles roaring. They can do other things. They can snap. They can slither. As a matter of fact, when there's zoos around, they do this most often. They lay eggs, too, but no one's ever heard it done. The crocodiles who've been doing things for us are East Indian crocodiles, from a province in the south through which the Ganges flows. Each village in the province has its private pit, dedicated to the happiness of their slimy and slithering friends. And sometimes a fellow would lose hold and fall into the pit, or jump in, or be pushed in. However they got there, the crocodiles took him in their stride. People were their favorite dish. So tonight, my report to you on Raschi among the crocodiles and the prank he played.
Crime Classics, a series of true crime stories from the records and newspapers of every land, from every time. Your host each week, Mr. Thomas Hyland, connoisseur of crime, student of violence, and teller of murders. Now once again, Mr. Thomas Hyland.
Where the Ganges edged the town of Mahadwat, it was not holy. As a matter of fact, there was little to note in the town of Mahadwat. True, there was the crocodile pit, but the crocs were smaller than in, for instance, the village of Gumbao, just 3 miles down the river. Mahadwat had its share of temples, but they were kind of run down. It had its quota of fakirs, 4 of them, but none of them outstanding, as, for instance, the gray fakir of Gumbao, to whom everybody brought ashes. But it had one edifice of which the villagers were rightly proud. The house of Matabar, a rich and ornate house, of which Udi was its master.
It is written, when the moon is Ganges plucked, Vishnu looks with favor on a son who does not stray.
A gentleman, an old man, a widower with a son named Raschi.
Old man, listen to me. The world is not this village. The world is vast, and I must know it.
I plead with you.
The world, what I have seen of it. Fruits and ecstasies and all manner
Fool.
of delight.
Fool. It is written, he who tastes sweet.
I care not what is written.
And what do you do when you wander, son?
Beg.
You suddenly become a holy man?
I merely don my rags, proffer a palm, and when enough coins are placed there, I doff the rags. Then, Father dear, I dress splendidly again and walk to the bazaar. I have found, Father dear...
Pariah.
I have found, Father dear, that delights come most easily to a young man who dresses splendidly and who has coins. Surely that is written someplace. Or will be written. Father.
What?
I would not stray. I would remain in the village if you would give me of your wealth.
I cannot.
And why can you not?
Until, Raschi, until, son, you prove yourself a man. Then will I gladly...
Old man, listen to me. I am more a man than you could dream of. I've been far already, 100 miles from here, and I will go further. And there will be a day when I will not come back.
Speak not so.
And I give you another barb to chew on, old man.
Speak not her name.
Kamala. Kamala, the cousin to my cousin. Perhaps, Father dear, I will marry her.
Speak not so. I beg of you, speak not so.
She is comely, Father, and of our blood even. What if she walks slow by the river and tarries too long with a fakir? What of the...
Get out! Get out of here! Go!
Very well. Shall I come back, Father dear? Ever? Shall I?
Son to me. Let me awaken you in your bed here in the morning. Be of my heart.
I will decide it. I will speak of it to Kamala. Then I will decide it.
We have gleaned two things about Raschi. He was a gadabout who visited strange cities and begged the price of admission, and he was a bad son. Here's something else about him. He played a musical instrument, a reed pipe. He would go out by the banks of the river, find a clearing in the jasmine, sit and look at the moon. He liked very much to look at the moon, for this same moon rode over the far places, and Raschi was a dreamer. Then, to his dreams, he would finger himself a tune. You might say, didn't he draw cobras? No, he didn't. He drew his cousin's cousin, Kamala, who had a weakness for reed pipers, especially her cousin's cousin, Raschi.
Blessed evening, Raschi. Of sadness is your song, and longing. Why longing, Raschi? I am here.
That is the moon, Kamala.
Yes.
A moon my father will not buy for me.
Wicked father. Raschi,
Yes,
were he to buy it, what would you do with it?
give it to you,
Wicked father.
miser,
Old father.
who will not die,
Raschi.
who will never die.
Raschi,
What?
I brought you a lotus to tie into my hair.
Again?
You tire of me?
No, I never will. Give me the bud.
Yes.
Kamala,
Yes?
it would be well if my father would die. Oh, widen not your fawn's eyes in dismay, but think of it. It would be well if my father would die. Then the moon and what it looks upon would be yours and mine.
Look you there, where the river bends. Huzur the fakir glows his coals. Huzur the wise.
Not so wise.
Wiser than you, therefore wise.
You would go to him?
He has said to me, saying, Kamala, child, in trouble and in question, come to me. Kamala, child. Saying, he said.
My father is a trouble.
Huzur the fakir glows his coals. Let us go to him.
Yes.
Near not yourself to the glowing coals, Kamala, child.
I will be careful. Huzur,
It is grievous, this riddle you present. How say you it again?
the cousin to my cousin will tell it.
The riddle is this. In a far place dwelt a wealthy man. He prized his gold and his jewels above all, save his son. His son, to him, was as the gentle rain and the shining stars. Yet, impoverished, he kept his son. And the riddle is this, Fakir. Would not the earth spin more easily if such a father would die and be delivered of his wealth to his noble son?
I like riddles.
Well, would not the earth spin more easily, as Raschi has said, if such a father...
Rather consider such a son. If such a son be dead, would not the father have an easier time? 20 rupees, please.
Do not pay him, Raschi. He has told you nothing.
Not 1 rupee, Fakir.
Very well. At least spread the coals for me so that I may walk and soon...
Spread them yourself.
Very well, child. Yet I wish a blessed evening to both of you.
Blessed evening, Fakir. But no rupees. Come, Raschi.
What shall we do, Kamala?
We will think of something.
How shall we start thinking?
With evil. Let us try that, beloved.
enough food to eat.
Son, why do you mock me in the public market? And what you say is not so.
I am in rags, the son of a rich man in rags, nor is there enough to eat.
And villagers, listen.
These lies you are saying. Why?
Listen all. My father sits among his riches and draws his hands over them and laughs in his beard.
Nor does he give charity without expecting return.
Lies. It is the truth. And I, his son, must share scraps with his dog.
I tell you this.
All of you. So if one day I am starved...
A curse on my son. Better he should be dead.
Which happened in the bazaar in the town of Mahadwat, so everybody heard it or was told about it. Results? Much nodding of heads and plucking at beards and mumbling and gossip at the wells. And more so when Raschi was suddenly not around any longer, not at his usual haunts, and no more piping of the reed among the jazzmen. People forgot that Raschi disappeared from town quite often. Instead, they remembered what his father had shouted at him in the bazaar. A father had growled, and the villagers were mumbling. And one day, this happened.
What brings you to my house?
You are my cousin's uncle, Udi. Should I not be in your house?
Speak what you want and go.
I have a letter.
From my son?
No, not him.
Where is he?
I will read you the letter.
Give it to me.
Gently, gently.
Very well, then.
Very well, then. To Kamala, beloved of Raschi. Very well, then.
Read it.
Do you pray me?
I pray you.
To Kamala, beloved of Raschi. The father of Raschi has slain him and has hidden his body.
Lie. What lie is this?
So the letter says.
Who sent such a letter?
I found it at my door. There is no name to it.
It is a lie.
Nevertheless, I will journey to Gumbau, where there are people of England who are called police. And I will show them this letter.
Kamala, child.
I will journey now.
I pray you.
This minute.
And she did. She showed the letter to the police. They looked all around the village for Raschi. One of the more alert of them noticed that the crocodiles in the pit had been dozing for the last 2 days, which meant they had eaten a lot, which made the police drag the ooze. They found a bone. So they arrested Udi for the murder of his son, Raschi. The penalty for murder in the village was tearing a person in two.
You are listening to Crime Classics and your host, Thomas Hyland, and his report to you on Raschi among the Crocodiles and the prank he played.
A few words about South Konkan, India, in the summer of 1894. The weather was fine, and the jute crop was phenomenal. Sir Ramsay Gwendon, better known as Sir Ramsay of the Loom, had just endeared himself to the populace by establishing the first twine and rope factory in the area, utilizing all but a small portion of the available jute. True, Sir Ramsay was later vilified as a slaveholder and his factories torn down by hand by enraged natives. Nevertheless, he is down in history as one of India's first prime users of jute. Now, of the town, Mahadwat is, as we know, a rather insignificant part of the province. And in the summer, it is apt to run against the grain, especially the grains of Englishmen who are not much used to the brutal heat and swelter. So it came to pass that the Englishman who happened to be in town at the time, and who was a policeman, is an Englishman who should be admired. His name, Roger Herrmann, a man of infinite patience.
Go on.
I did not kill my son. I did not.
Well, go on.
I loved my son. He was my strong right hand and my boon.
A moment. My dear,
Yes, sir.
what is it that you tell me has been bruited about in the bazaar? Child?
Ask anyone.
No, I ask you.
That this old man hated his son, cursed him, and threatened to kill him.
Saad,
Go on.
do you know of this girl?
No. No, what about her?
She walks slow and smiles with ease.
Go on.
She is not to be trusted. She speaks lies.
All right, good fellow. How do you explain this bone? Well?
Pardon, sir.
This bone. How do you explain it? The one we found in the crocodile pit.
Sir,
Yes, child.
the old man cannot explain the bone, for it is the bone of Raschi. Of his shoulder.
I swear to you, I would not kill my son. I swear it.
Is it not true that you argued? True. And that you wished him dead?
In the
It is
fit
true.
of...
Dear man, I'm afraid you're under arrest.
When will you tear him in two?
Child. Child, listen to me.
Yes?
No longer the law of the jungle, but the civilized law. Udim Atabar will be tried, and justice will prevail.
Justice will prevail. This means death?
If he is guilty.
I am not guilty.
Dear fellow, you say that so often. What are you trying to hide, dear fellow?
History is full of coincidences, not the least of which the fact that the Sikh Pedwar was at this very moment in the village studying fossils. Amazing, you say. Nevertheless, a fact. Sikh Pedwar, but lately returned from postgraduate study at Cambridge, was hunting bone shards and artifacts at the old formations outside of the village. And it was to him Inspector Roger Herrmann came.
I hope it won't be too much trouble, old boy.
From this.
Yes. I've heard it's done to reconstruct the figure of the man from the bone section.
Yes, yes, it is. However,
Yes?
what are you trying to prove?
Dear fellow, should the figure you construct be 5.5 feet in height, of wide construction, and neck a bit longish, I'm told, then we shall have proof that a young man named Raschi has been chewed by the crocodiles.
I'll do my best.
Well said, old boy. Well said.
And 2 days later, Roger sent a runner to Pedwar, asking for a progress report.
Tell the sub I haven't yet begun to work on his project.
And a week later,
Some progress. Tell the sub to give me a fortnight.
and in a fortnight,
Tell the sub I'm sorry I was interrupted. My sister came of age and there was a celebration.
and a week after that.
Tell the sub he's welcome to come to see the reconstruction. Tell him I suggest he bring along the chap who's accused of the deed.
Which the runner did.
Good. Very good. Excellent. Thank you. Bully.
This way, gentlemen.
It is not my son. It will not be my son. But if it is my son, I did not do it. I swear it.
Well, you keep saying that, old chap.
Right in here. There.
I said.
It is not my son. It is not
Of
my...
course it is not. It's a water buffalo.
Oh, I say. But then a joint of water buffalo was thrown to the crocodiles and not Raschi's.
I would say so.
Then I am free.
Hold on, old boy. Only a part of your case against you has been destroyed. Your son is still missing, and we don't know what you've done with him. You're charged, and you must stand trial. That's the law. Come along. Pedwar.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In the north, dear Kamala, towards Scotland, when the summer comes in gently, there are nights such as this.
And are you very rich, Inspector?
Oh, please, child, call me Roger.
Are you very rich, Roger?
Rich?
Yes.
How do you mean, child?
Money.
Child, you must listen to me.
To what?
A letter
Letter?
that you received that said Udi murdered his father.
He did.
That said he threw his son into the pit with the crocodile.
He did.
And the bone? It is the bone of a water buffalo, child.
How could you know?
But you knew.
How could you know? How wise you must be.
And Raschi is alive.
How very wise you must be.
Is he alive?
Come. I know a place nearby.
Kamala.
Come.
No.
Come.
Kamala.
Why?
Kamala, you cannot let an old man die. If Raschi is alive...
If Raschi is alive. If Raschi is alive. Find out if he is alive. Go.
Roger Sherman was a conscientious constable. Neither warm summer night, nor scent of lotus, nor closeness of Kamala, who wore a jewel and bells on her ankles, none of these distracting elements could keep him from his appointed tasks. His next move was obvious. Armed with a full description of the lad, he traveled downriver to the town of Gumbao, and there made inquiry.
Raschi, of the village Mahadwat. Therefore a stranger to this village. Have you seen him?
And the answer was no.
About this high, given to wearing beggar's clothes?
And the answer was a shrug. So, journey to Maharashtra, and the inquiries. No, and the shrug. And to Pune. Pune of the fabulous temple of Shiva. And there was a beggar in front of it.
Of the village Mahadwat?
Exactly.
And of this height?
Precisely.
And young?
Yes.
And nose not too prominent, nor yet too small?
Yes.
And dressed in rags beyond belief?
Good, very good.
And his name?
Raschi.
Of the village Mahadwat?
Exactly.
And of this height?
Oh, yes, I understand, old boy. Only sporting.
A week ago, Raschi of Mahadwat went to Shadur to the festival of Vishnu.
May the goddess Vishnu embrace thee with all.
I say, old boy, isn't your name Raschi? Aren't you from Mahadwat? Aren't you? I say, don't try to run. You. Oh, very well. I say, no. Don't tussle. Now, it's useless, you know. You're caught. You're a prisoner of the crown. Now, come along.
I therefore present to the Crown this thesis, that Udi Matabas strangled his son until he was dead, then in the still of the night he did...
I did not, I swear it.
He did dispose of the body of his son Raschi. I ask the court to look at the accused. Where in the court's memory has he seen such evil in a face, such depravity?
I am a good man. I have never harmed even
A face eaten by lust and avarice. His tongue tells the lie of serpents, and his eyes mirror the wantonness...
No. This is my face, but I'm older.
So in summation, I ask that this symbol of wickedness incarnate be condemned to the gallows and...
Let us through. I say let us through, won't you?
What disturbance?
I'm sorry to spoil the show, old boy.
What is this?
Well, there's been no murder, old boy. This bundle of rags is...
Raschi, my son. It is I, Father.
You see?
What a show.
Raschi. They would hang you. No. I knew you would come back. You knew? Yes. Because you are my son. Father. Yes. Once I was not your son. Now I am.
Did you hear? Did you hear?
Father,
Yes, son.
it is written, when the moon is Ganges plucked, Vishnu looks with favor on a son who does not stray.
Well said, old boy. Bully.
And arm in arm they went home, father and son. And the father was more generous with his wealth, and the son more generous with his love. And the girl Kamala? Why, Raschi married her, and they had a lot of trouble with their children. And the Ganges flowed down to the sea.
In just a moment, Thomas Hyland will tell you about next week's crime classic. Raschi Among the Crocodiles, tonight's crime classic, was adapted from the original court reports and newspaper accounts by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. The music was composed and conducted by Bernard Herrmann, and the program is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. Thomas Hyland is portrayed on radio by Lou Merrill. In tonight's story, Jack Edwards was heard as Raschi, Jane Webb as Kamala, Edgar Barrier as Udi, and Ben Wright as Roger. Featured in the cast were William Conrad, Jack Crucian, and Eric Snowden. Bob Lamont speaking. And here again is Thomas Hyland.
Next week, the Caribbees in the year 1704, when a girl could get a wedding present that meant something, like an island, even if it hurt her husband's career. My report to you will be on Blackbeard's 14th wife. Why she was no good for him. Thank you. Good night.
Crime Classics has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Good evening. This is Crime Classics. I am Thomas Hyland with another true story of crime.
Listen. That's a pair of scissors, hand-wrought in gold in the shape of a peacock. The young lady who's using them is trimming her husband's beard. The beard has just been washed to get the blood out of it. For a few hours ago, out on the bounding main, her husband stabbed a few fellows from up close. And the beard has been perfumed, too, to get the gunpowder and sulfur smells out of it, because there's just been a battle. And now the beard is being trimmed before curling, because her husband is very vain about his beard. It is a Blackbeard, which caused some 18th century pundit to dub him Blackbeard. His real name, Edward Teach. Profession, pirate. His wife, Hannah. Hannah's all done. The beard's all ready for curling. Such a good wife. Oh, no, she wasn't. Tonight, my report to you on Blackbeard's 14th wife. Why she was no good for him.
Crime Classics, a series of true crime stories from the records and newspapers of every land and every time. Your host each week, Mr. Thomas Hyland, connoisseur of crime, student of violence, and teller of murders. Now, once again, Thomas Hyland.
The year of 1714. The place is the Caribbees. Two vessels locked in combat. One flying the Skull and Bones. The other, the three penitent gonfalon of the Duc de la San Alban. The very Duc de la San Alban who boasted to history that his 40-gun vessel La Panque would never be boarded by pirates. Well, it was, wasn't it? And the Duke, he was defending himself against a pirate, Edward Teach by name, and here's what was happening. Teach had just disengaged into the cart line. The Duke parries cart. There goes Teach into the Valestra, calculated to throw the Duke off balance, but the Duke parries, goes into a doublé, a Molinet now, lunge, parry, and Teach feints in the advance 1-2, lunges. And the Duke goes down without a sound, which, as you will recall, is the way the Duke swore he would die. So Edward Teach and his pirates won the prize La Panque, renamed it Queen Anne's Revenge, and sailed disguised as merchantman into Jamaica. Here, in a small waterfront cafe, he made friends.
Now, let's drink a toast, eh, Captain?
Aye, I'll make you one. I drink to Captain Edward Teach.
To yourself, Captain?
To Captain Edward Teach, whose name's going to be known about.
What a one you are. Isn't he a one, mate, huh?
Oh, he's a one.
You shot my captain.
You rather wish it was you?
You shot me, Captain Teach. I would not be able to drink to Captain Teach.
Drink you.
Don't shoot me, Captain. I drink high to Captain Teach. I drink high to Captain Teach, whose name going to be known about.
Drain it.
Captain.
Drain it, or I'll let what you drunk out again.
To Captain Edward Teach.
I need me a mate. You be mate to Captain Teach. Aye.
That's how Edward Teach got a first mate. His name was Kerf, and you might like to know that later in his career, Kerf struck out on his own vessel, crew, and Jolly Roger. But Kerf, in his very first encounter with a Britisher, got pinned to the mast by a cutlass. So we know that his period of association with Teach was happier than when he worked for himself. Teach and Kerf sailed from Jamaica, where they'd met, to Nassau. On the way... And they captured the sloop Invincible, threw all her hands to the sharks, took aboard her booty, then scuttled her. And in Nassau, on the silver sands of Nassau, when the silver moon was younger than it is now...
Oh, it's so silky. And curlsome. Oh, and beautiful.
Some call me Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
Well?
The name is apt.
Hannah.
Oh, so silky.
How many years have you, Hannah?
Enough to let the wisdom in.
Of what?
Of men. Yes, even men with black beards.
But none such as mine. Huh?
None, sir. It is true.
How many years have you, Hannah? Actual years.
6 and 10.
Yeah. Well, your wife to me.
Such as you, and you have no wife.
Here I have no wife in the Bahamas.
But elsewhere?
Mary, Genevieve, Margot, Prudence, Molly, Sharon.
How many?
13. 13, Hannah. A number which is not lucky.
And this is the reason you wish to wife me?
The touch you have with my beard. I'm lonely for it.
I'll marry with you, but...
But what?
This pirating of yours...
What of it?
You play at it.
I'll play.
You'll be one of many pirates, small men with small wants and small names. Do you not wish a large name?
Some call me Blackbeard.
Then make the most of it.
What do you know of pirate?
Look to me.
And?
Now fan out your beard. So. And in braids over your ears. So. And punk to light among its silk. And under your hat lighted matches. Oh, what a fearsome thing. What terror could you conjure, Blackbeard of Hades? Well, what think you?
I would kiss you.
Then do it. Oh, and now I wish, a wish to make.
Woman, a wedding wish, that's what.
Yes.
Then name it.
Shall I?
The highest star that sends a glimmer on, yours. The moon that orbs a silver on darkened sea, yours. And the sun that...
Oh, pooh.
What?
Pooh, I said. I wish none of these.
Then what?
This island. This Nassau. What, laughter?
That you have but 16 years in such a dream.
This island. I want it.
And you shall have it.
Now.
Later.
What manner of rapscallions be you two?
When my mate has a craving for an apple, he has no care whose table it is off, nor yours, the governor's.
And I sentence both of you to the gibbet.
For eating an apple?
For murder. For the murder of my guard.
It was the only way we could get to see you.
Oh? And what profession do you have, besides rapscallery, that is?
Piracy.
What say you?
Having finished of the apple, my mate says piracy.
And I say it twice. I sentence the two of you to the gibbet. Guards, take these two rags to hang.
Haste not, Governor.
Oh?
Haste not, because I say.
Saying?
I am here on an errand of romance. I am here on an errand of beauty.
Oh?
I have this morning been wed to a girl of 10 and 6.
I fight back the salty tears.
You will weep.
Make me weep, condemned man.
Aye. This girl of 10 and 6, she wishes a wedding gift.
How like a maiden?
She wishes this island, this city, and all that's in it.
Then I will instruct hangman to hang thee by a rapid method he knows, so thy bride cannot ask thee for the world.
Just this island, and she will have it.
Oh?
Oh, indeed, if my calculations are correct. What say you, mate?
Take these clowns and... What is this?
Go to the window and you will see it, Governor. 4 sloops there are of yours in the harbor. They will die there. My vessel, Queen Anne's Revenge, and the men that's on will sink your ships and block your harbor and hold captive your city. Say ho, Governor, so long as your mouth is open. Say ho and believe it. Now I'll get you to the window and look. Oh.
The governor then gave apples to everybody. Everybody except Edward Teach. Him he gave the Bahama Islands. It was a good thing, too, else Nassau would have been put to the torch. All the pirates enjoyed this state of affairs very much. No wonder. Let us look in on a typical week in the life of Blackbeard's pirates. Monday, leave Nassau and pick up the trade winds, straddle the Gulf Stream someplace, and wait for a prey. Then...
Frenchman to starboard!
Then...
Right on, Pantole, Roger!
Then...
Hand me my beard and hair matches.
Then...
How do I look? Terrifying. The French will quiver in their silk.
And then... And Blackbeard never lost a fight. True, some of his men would get killed and have to be given to the sea, but the survivors never had it so good. Like as not, they were back in Nassau by Friday night, and there were welcome arms to greet them, with Caribbean poultices to soothe their wounds. And on Saturday night, what they liked to do best was pay homage to their leader.
I give you Captain Edward Teach. I give you Blackbeard, whose name is known about.
Oh, they love you so much, Edward.
And this place.
Oh, it's a pity.
What is?
Walk with me, Edward, outside a while.
Yes.
I said, Edward, that it's a pity.
And I asked what is?
That we shall leave here soon.
But these 6 months,
Have you noticed that less and less ships appear?
Aye, that is so.
But there are many ships along the Carolina coast.
Aye. And so?
Many ships which carry provisions and stores to the colonies, and many ships bearing riches back to Europe in return.
You're a bright tackling.
Good wife to you.
Aye. Aye, indeed.
Wait.
Wait?
Will we do it? Will we go to the Carolines?
But Nassau, this I gave to you, and hardly have you used it.
I've used it enough. Now the Carolines.
If you wish it.
I wish it.
Yes. Good wife.
Oh, silky beard. Curlsome, silky black beard.
They sailed a week later, and the night before they disembarked on the shores of North Carolina, Blackbeard and his pirate crew gave Mrs. Blackbeard a party on her birthday. She was 10 and 7.
You are listening to Crime Classics and your host, Thomas Hyland. Dramatic actors play comedy roles, comedians interpret the drama. This Friday night, as CBS Radio's Stage Struck introduces that exclusive theatrical fraternity, The Players. Participants will be Franklin P. Adams, Gene Hirschholt, Jimmy Cagney, Ray Bolger, Bobby Clark, Charles Coburn, Cedric Hardwick, Bert Lahr, Charles Lawton, and hosts more of The Players. It's Friday night on CBS Radio's Stage Struck, now heard half an hour later on most of these same stations. And now once again, Thomas Hyland and the second act of Crime Classics, and his report to you on Blackbeard's 14th wife, why she was no good for him.
I would like to say a few words about governors. New World governors, vintage early 1700s. First of all, I would like to say that many of them had brothers-in-law back in England at court, connections, or else they had won an important battle, or took part in an important scandal, or they were just fellows who the king or queen didn't want in the old country anymore. Some of the colonial governors of this era were wise and intelligent administrators, but others were cheaters, that is, thieves, that is, they stole their colonies blind. Let us then look in on a scene. The governor of North Carolina and Edward Teach, pirate, standing in the reception room of the governor's mansion with their arms about each other's shoulders.
I hear they call you Blackbeard.
Yes.
I hear you stick lighted matches in your beard and in your hair.
Yes.
Ooh. Just don't do it when I'm around.
Just don't go to sea, Governor.
Why should I?
It's good here in North Carolina, isn't it?
Oh, better. Since you surrendered to me, the people cheer me when I walk the streets.
And they cheer me, too, since you issued the writ granting amnesty to me and my men. It's a good feeling.
Worth 1,000 gold pieces you paid me?
My wife said you would have been satisfied with 500.
How is your wife?
Very good.
She was right.
Pirate. Governor.
Call me pirate again.
Pirate. Sea robber. Swashbuckler. Listen.
Yes?
Let's conspire.
Again?
Again.
Good.
The men are restless. They're grumbling.
Oh?
They want to go to sea again.
And they want a good fat galleon to plunder.
Yes.
The vessel Angel's Head is due to arrive about a week from now from Portsmouth.
Yeah? Carrying what?
Sugar, gold, silks, and 2 ladies from the court.
A week from now?
Yes. And Captain Teach.
Aye?
The 2 ladies from the court. One of them is Lady Barbara Falmouth. You must know why she's leaving England.
Yes, I heard.
But it's true, every word of it. And, Captain.
Aye.
Of the rest of the booty.
50%.
Oh, like always.
Like always.
I'll walk with you to the door.
Blackbeard went immediately then to the den where his pirates were grumbling and told them the news. They stopped grumbling, hailed him a merry, merry, merry lad, and sharpened their cutlasses. A few days later, they put to sea and... the results of which, sugar, gold, silk confiscated, 2 ladies of the court never heard of again, and the ship Angel's Head put to the torch. This was just about the way things went. A chat with the governor.
The ship Las Flores from Lisbon, due in a fortnight, Captain.
Tell the boys. Put to sea and... then...
Half for you, Governor. Half for me.
And once, after a particularly successful sortie...
Half for you, Governor. Half for me.
Tonight we shall have a ball.
Good.
Bring your wife.
I will.
And this Lieutenant Maynard is Hannah Teach.
Delighted.
Lieutenant of what?
You'll excuse me.
Lieutenant of what?
Of the Navy, His Majesty's. Miss Teach.
Mrs.
You're joking.
For nearly 2 years now. Edward Teach is my husband.
Edward Teach? Blackbeard?
Yes. Would you care to meet him?
Well...
My husband's a big man and a strong man. Are you frightened to meet him, Lieutenant?
I would very much like to meet your husband. Where is he?
He was standing there a moment ago speaking with the governor's lady.
Then another time.
Come, we will look for him.
Really?
Come.
Very well.
Edward? Edward?
But that was your husband who we saw pass us and go toward the...
Hush.
Why did you not call out to him then?
Hush.
Really?
Bend to me.
Really?
Yes.
Very well.
Oh, how soft is your cheek. Soft and beardless.
Your husband's beard is truly magnificent.
It reeks either of battle tar or perfume. I cannot stand it.
Really?
Really.
Mrs. Teach.
If you say it softly, you may say Hannah.
Hannah.
Just so.
How many years have you?
10 and 8.
I have 20 and 1.
Bend to me again the softness of your cheek.
I want to.
Oh, so young.
As you are young.
Hold me.
I want to. Hannah?
Yes?
No, what I mean is, where does your husband hide his ship?
What?
I am curious of it. Where does he hide his ship?
On the province of Friendship, the third inlet off the river. Why?
I was curious of it.
Do you have a curiosity?
About all things.
About me?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I hate the governor of North Carolina.
Of course you do.
Now, listen to me, Lieutenant Maynard. Before I was governor of Virginia back in England, do you know what he did to me?
Well, I heard that
You heard? How did you hear?
The governor of North Carolina, he tells
I
everyone...
hate him!
And he shall have his due.
Yes.
When word gets back to England that his river harbors the notorious pirate Blackbeard...
And that the governor shares the pirate's booty.
All I need is 2 sloops, Governor.
And you shall have them. And a reward.
What reward?
Bring me the head of Blackbeard and name your reward.
Really?
Really.
Thank you, Governor.
Hannah,
Yes, Edward?
I'm tired.
You don't look well, Edward.
I mean, I'm tired of this life. Of piracy, of slaughter. Come to the bow of the ship. I want to show you something. Look there.
And to see what?
The land.
What of it?
The governor has promised me all the land from my vessel at anchor as center and 10 miles in radius out from it in the form of a circle. What do you think?
Oh, you are tired, Edward. And somehow older. Yes, to me, older. And your beard.
What of it?
Gray.
Where?
Here, and here, and here.
What? What was that?
2 sloops! Men of war! Stop it! Flying the royal flag coming this way!
Broadside!
Now, this is what happened. Maynard's 2 sloops closed on Blackbeard, 1 on each side of Teach's vessel, and the 3 ships were held together by grappling hooks. And it was a furious sight. There was not one man on either side who did not receive some mark, who did not add some of his blood to the slippery decks. Then Blackbeard was boarded midst a hail of grape shot in which Blackbeard received 3 pellets in his leg. Maynard found the pirate leaning against the mainmast, shot him.
Hey! Die, pirate! Not yet! Over 2 and no quarter!
And the men fell back to watch their captain's duel. It was a wonderful duel, and it lasted over an hour. And toward the end of it, Maynard Dublade then advanced in Kona de Cis Cart Cis. Teach parried, then performed a striking moulinet and lunged into the cart line. Lunged and slipped. Slipped, yet on his knees parried Maynard once, twice, but the third time... And Teach was dead, and the duel was over. And so was the battle, for Blackbeard's men had no heart for it anymore. Lieutenant Maynard, having declared himself victor and new master of Blackbeard's boat, went below into the pirates' quarters.
Hannah.
Oh, my darling.
Get up, Hannah.
Oh, bend your cheek to me.
I don't want to.
What?
Come on deck, Hannah.
For what reason?
Wife of a pirate and his spur.
For what reason do you want me on deck?
To be hanged.
Really?
Upon my word.
And this is what Lieutenant Maynard did to the Teach family. He wrecked it. He hanged Hannah Teach, and he cut off Edward Teach's head. The head he mounted on the prow of the ship and sailed it proudly into Roanoke Harbor, tacking beautifully in such a manner that the black beard of Edward Teach streamed gracefully on the soft evening wind. A gull soared down to have a look, but when it saw what it was, it screamed and flew away.
In just a moment, Thomas Hyland will tell you about next week's crime classic. Blackbeard's 14th Wife, tonight's crime classic, was adapted from the original court reports and newspaper accounts by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. The music was composed and conducted by Bernard Herrmann, and the program is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. Thomas Hyland is portrayed on radio by Lou Merrill. In tonight's story, William Conrad was heard as Teach, Betty Harford as Hannah, and Alastair Duncan as Maynard. Featured in the cast were Ben Wright, Joseph Kearns, Richard Peel, and Jack Crucian. Bob Lamont speaking. Here again is Thomas Hyland.
Next week, Camelot, England, in the year 600, and the troubles caused by Guinevere, who was married to Arthur and loved by Lancelot. My report to you will be on The Triangle on the Round Table. Thank you. Good night.
America's favorite teenage rage, Junior Miss, now brings us her haphazard adventures every Thursday evening on most of these same stations. That makes her a perfect listening companion to Millie Bronson, heroine of CBS Radio's wacky Thursday night series titled Meet Millie. In moving to Thursday evenings, Junior Miss also keeps company with Ray Milland of Meet Mr. McNutley comedy fame. Tomorrow night, don't miss Milland with a teenage problem of his own in the shapely shape of a visiting niece and her strange young swain. Tomorrow night at the Star's Address. Hear The American Way, starring Horace Heidt, Thursday nights on the CBS Radio Network.